Hello there, and a very warm welcome. You're watching Monday Night Live, episode 92, and it might be off season for some people, but we certainly are on tonight. Talk about various topics, including the IPL, including two of the biggest superstars with Rohit and Kohli. Don't ask me why I want to bring it up. I just wanted to settle the debate with all the reports going about and what an ex-selector said about them as well. But first and foremost, welcome to my boys in terms of Nikhil Popat and Akshay Swami to this episode 92. We're 8 away, 2 boundaries from a cricketing perspective. Akshay, I'll start with you. How's everything? Still in the UK? Boy, this is a long holiday, longer than Team India stay there.
Yeah, I mean, less of a holiday now at this point, and yeah, more of a just chill sesh with my sisters. You know, when you started off two of the superstars, I thought you were going to say Akshay and Nikhil, and I was like, yeah, that's probably a bit much. Rohit and Kohli probably cut it. But yeah,
Of course.
Yeah.
It's you guys are superstars in some senses, and Akshay has got via Vanita for the Women's Cricket Podcast. Nikhil's doing Nikhil things as well. So, Nikhil, coming to you, what's your week been like? And been watching a lot of cricket, I'm guessing. South Africa, Australia, West Indies, Pakistan, Zimbabwe, New Zealand.
Yeah, may there always be enough cricket for me to be madly watching, getting scoldings from the family. While people are tying me Rakhi, I'm still keeping an eye on either here or I go. So I think that is just who I am, and I'm happy to watch cricket. Hopefully, everybody had a good week. Have been troubled times everywhere else. So please, wherever you are, do take care and stay safe.
Indeed, for sure. We'll talk about a lot of things. Like I said, we will react to a few things coming our way from the news perspective, whether Sanju actually goes to CSK or not, and whether Ashwin leaves CSK or not. That's something to talk about. We'll also, of course, talk about RCB's new stadium. The Chief Minister Sidramya has allocated 1650 crores, Akshay. Bomba Sandra, bro. And we'll talk about that later in the show. But good to see lots of people chipping in. New people in the chat. The all-rounder Mohsin going saying, should Virat Rohit, beg your pardon, play A games instead? South Africa and Australia and Vijay Hazare. I think we will talk about that for sure. And separate format, separate player base. Look, that's something we've advocated throughout on cricket.com's platform. So something to wait and watch. But first and foremost, Akshay just give us a lowdown about his UK diaries and trips. So what's the buzz? The 100 especially, now that India, England have died out. Still kind of good times to be watching cricket in the UK, I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I'm right now on the eastern side of UK. I'm actually on the east coast, Norwich, which is the easternmost part of UK. Having fun here, and it's not exactly a city known for its cricket. They have a very rich footballing tradition, Norwich City FC and whatnot. But the 100 is definitely something a lot of people have been catching up on, and it's surprisingly it's the women's edition that has more takers than the men's. And once again, like I've said before as well, the format makes little to no sense to me because why do we have all of this? But anyway, long story short, there is a bit of cricket viewing when it comes to the 100, but definitely nothing like you would see at probably international games or even the T20 Blast for that matter. It's the women's games by virtue of them not getting enough game time that's a bit more popular.
I just want to stick with Akshay here in terms of the UK diaries piece because a week away from the Premier League football, is that kind of now taking precedence over every other sporting matter?
Oh man, you have no idea how big these people are. So Sunday night we just went to a pub here down the road. These guys are watching highlights and reacting to it like it's an actual game. It's wild. It's wild. So football's already taken over the conversation there. And the Club World Cup that was happening, the women's qualifier was also happening last month. So all of these things. So yeah, they're football through and through. So give them any football and they'd be more than happy to talk about it. The Norwich City training ground is like a stone's throw away. So whenever I go for a run, I see kids training there, and you see again, it's a very familial thing, right? Families, the dads or the moms bring their kids in, they go for their training sessions, they go for their games and all of it. So it's a very weekend kind of situation. So football's definitely always dominating the conversation in these parts of the world.
Yeah, I know Liverpool fans would be having an absolute sad weekend because they lost to Crystal Palace in the Community Shield, and who knows what's going to happen. But I'll give you my prediction later on in the show.
To Anfield last week, I went for the proper tour, and I also texted our beloved Pramod Anand, who's a colleague and also an ardent Liverpool fan. I guess now I know where my loyalties are headed. Not that I was supporting a club before, but now I think I will be probably following a bit more of the Premier League and Liverpool in particular. It was a fantastic experience. And yeah, shout out to all Liverpool fans. I know there are a few in the comments as well.
100%. And people who are watching us for the first time just know that, of course, I'm a United fan. Nikhil doesn't watch that much football because he's just crazy Knicks, as the name goes. But yeah, I mean, it's fascinating to know how Akshay's travels have been in the UK because, like he said, he was in Scotland when he did MNL last time. He's gone to East Anglia now, Liverpool in there. So that's great on him. Another couple of people who've been spotted in the UK, at least we know one place stays there, is Virat. And Rohit's been spotted there as well. Let's talk about them next. And I want to bring in the Monday Night Live question right here, right now. Right here, we've spoken about this podcast various times. Let's just react to what's going to happen. I know these guys have their own clout and their power that way. But your first take on the news about they might be retiring pretty much later this year in Australia. Do you buy into that?
No. Nahi. Sodium ka chemical jo bhi hai, go ahead with that because I just find this, there should, for one thing, I want match every day because it will keep everybody watching the match and we will not be talking about so many things that have been going around on the internet in terms of reports, in terms of today this one did this, that one did that. Arey bhai, thum jao, ruk jao jara. If you think people are just going to come in and replace Rohit and Virat in ODI cricket, please wake up in time. I'm not saying they should play till 2027 World Cup, but just speak about people with knowing who they are and what they have done. I'm not saying I'm the first one to say move on from people. Look forward. But then इतना भी look forward नहीं करना चाहिए कि तुमको नीचे दिखे नहीं कि क्या है. So I just find this reports culture very, very annoying because one day we hear something and the other day it is quashed. You don't even know what to react to. So, but transparency is not our forte. So let's stick to that.
And that's the thing, right, Akshay? Sometimes where you kind of believe certain sources or not, Dainik Jagran's of big vernacular Times of India, these reports are proper. I mean, Hindustan Times is floating something about in terms of Devang Gandhi and him having a say, saying, you know, what time is going to move by and it's for everybody. And he also kind of hinted that the Vijay Hazare should be on their list. Let's just get some quotes before we get more reactions from all of us. Now, they said, obviously, if they, Virat and Rohit here, have something in mind, they would tell the BCCI brass like they did before the England test. But from an Indian team's perspective, the next big assignment is the T20 World Cup in February and preparations before that. The immediate focus will be on sending the best team for the Asia Cup T20 tournament, which is fair. And those are the two big tournaments, which is in the next 8 months, the Asia Cup and the World Cup. So even if they do well in the ODIs, it makes you think about A, 2 years away being a long timeline, and B, what we've been reiterating on this podcast, separate players for separate formats. Do you buy into that? And how do you kind of usher these two out of international cricket in the twilight of their career? How would you play it?
Firstly, I mean, talking about, having different players for different formats, I'm all for it. Something we've spoken about in general as a group and individually as well. Given the kind of talent we have and the depth of our pool, there's no reason why we can't do that. Had it been another country where, you are sort of struggling for more players to play the longer format and all of it, sure, then you can probably have that conversation. And yeah, it's fair to say not every side has the luxury that India has in terms of, the players that we have at our disposal. So firstly, that. Secondly, about Rohit and Kohli, man, it's very simple. If we see or we think that they are a liability to the side in a format, sure, move past them. They've already done that in Test cricket. With Test cricket in T20Is, they both bowed out after the World Cup and they felt that was the perfect moment to go past, and it was the right call, definitely. Thinking of the long term and also thinking of the greater good. With ODIs, I don't think either of them have done too badly. I don't think either of them have done anything to warrant an axe to begin with. Firstly, that's the question that needs to be answered. Have they been underperforming? Have they been struggling or, sort of been responsible for the side lagging? I don't think so. Is the side lagging itself in this format? Absolutely not. So what is the reason for this change? I don't know. If we try to force transition for the sake of it, or to just, have a top-down approach of, yeah, you know what, this is who I am. And there are, of course, going to be ego clashes. So there are two alpha personalities. So one would want to sort of dominate the other, be it conversations, be it narratives. So given that, I won't say I understand. I can see why something like this might be forced on the Indian team. So I'm not surprised that such reports are coming out. But I'm with Nikhil bhai. Like, firstly, even if something like this is happening, It should be within the walls of the BCCI boardroom or whatever it is. Why are we getting random, haphazard information? God knows. Just let us know once the decision is made, one way or the other. At the end of the day, we will be fine with it. We'll have to find a way to be fine with it. But the fact that now randomly you hear, okay, this report coming out, that report coming out, then there'll be PR, then there'll be, then this person will have their PR come out, that person will have their PR come out. It's basically a game that no one signed up for, that everyone is playing.
Okay, that's a good way to look at it. Let me just take a couple of questions, or rather comments, from the live chat. I'm fine with the transition in ODIs too. What needs of getting emotional? 2 years is good enough time to groom youngsters for the 2027 World Cup. Look, that's where the selectors are coming from, saying that, okay, fine, if Virat or Rohit plays this Australia series and they have like a bad form going into that tournament, they need to take a call. But like Akshay just pointed out, they've not been really dipping in ODI cricket. They both, of course, have been making their love for ODI cricket more evident with each passing day. There were times, all teams have played 30 plus ODIs in a year. Not sure they'll be playing in good touch until late 2027, just playing 24 ODIs, saying freaking awesome. And Syed saying Australia and England opposed to tier system. I mean, we'll come to that later. But just on that topic, Nix, I mean, we've seen how modern cricket has evolved. I mean, Steve Smith's playing the 100, while Australia, South Africa are playing T20 internationals, right? So it's obviously clear that certain players are playing certain formats. I don't know why Kane Williamson didn't play the South Africa, the Zimbabwe, New Zealand test, but that's how times have moved on. The Vijay Hazare, when we actually look at it, happens in December, which is after the Australia South Africa series. Do you think those two will actually go back to play that, just to kind of prove to themselves that they want to play this format?
Yeah, I think this is something that we are very clear on. We don't have a problem with people playing domestic cricket. It is a good thing because you are playing it for a reason of wanting to stay in touch and keeping your body ready for the rigors of the game. So that is perfectly fine. My only question is, Virat also went back and played a Ranji Trophy game. He retired after that. What is the call there? What is the process there in terms of, is it fine? Or, if there is a clear gap here in terms of communication, that what happened and what has actually happened. So all I'm hoping for is clear communication, as you rightly said. If they are looking at the next 2 years, we want to groom people from now, fair enough, have that conversation. And if that conversation is done, then they do not need to play the Vijay Hazare Trophy. If they are to be in contention for the 2027 World Cup, 100% yes, I want them to play the Vijay Hazare Trophy, because that is the paramount thing, that, okay, get yourself into the game. So as long as that communication is clear, I am perfectly fine with it. Uske aage, if there is miscommunication and another reports and leaks, then that is something that I'm not in for.
Sorry, that's where it kind of comes down to. I was just looking at the FTP and the kind of ODIs which are sprinkled around Akshay till that 2027 ODI World Cup. The big one which hits us soon will be that Australia away series, and I'm pretty sure those two will want to play there. Do you think they can actually use that opportunity and then end the fuss and be like, you know what, we're going to just play the IPL. We'll use this as a last sort of appearance in international cricket. It's sort of symbolic at the Sydney Cricket Ground to just bid adieu. Do you think that'll happen? Or do you think actually India look at it like how we've been looking at it, make 3 formats, 3 separate captains, 3 separate squads where Roko features in ODIs?
Yeah, it's a very personal call, to be honest. I don't think we can sort of say one way or the other, what they should be doing. They need to know where they are at. They understand their body is better than anyone else. Do they feel, motivated enough to play? Because that's something Virat Kohli himself has alluded to in the past. The day he feels that he cannot, sort of put himself out there and give his 110%, he will walk out of the field. So I see no reason why they might not think that way. If that's the case, again, it's their personal choice. But if they feel that, they can give it their all and they feel they're motivated enough to play ODI cricket and win certain tournaments, certain, trophies for their side, then I see no reason why they shouldn't be continued. Because like we discussed earlier, it's not like either of them have shown any dip in form in this format. And we also have that problem of mixing formats, of also just narratives getting ahead of us and everything. So, which is why it might sort of seem very murky. But honestly speaking, I would just look at it this way. If both players are interested in playing, I would still give it some time, because I see no reason for us to move past them. But if the think tank is very clear that they want to move past them, then now is the best time, because you need to give at least, I would say, a year or two for whoever comes in next. Because I don't want it to be a case where, okay, you know what, we'll give them a few more chances and then take a call. And then late 26 or early 27 is when they'll decide, okay, boss, you know what, we'll go ahead with new openers. And that new opener might just be, sort of faced with a baptism with fire kind of test, and they'll have to then prove themselves in the World Cup. That'll lead to a different vicious cycle. So I hope they just think it through and understand what the consequences are, however they go.
The other thing is what, like I kind of mentioned in allude to next, the fact that we have three separate captains right now. And I don't know whether people like that or they don't like it, or they just have to kind of accept it because the rigors, like you said, of the modern game is such. If Rohit does play the Australia series, then he has to be told now, because if they pull the plug and say, listen, he's not even featuring this series, and they make Hardik Surya captain, then is that like already the writings on the wall?
Yeah, that's precisely what I'm saying, right? As I actually said, you have to talk about it right now. You are not playing any ODI cricket at this point of time. You know the next one is few and far in between. The gaps are too big right now. So you have to be very sure that whatever games you have, do not make them or waste them by giving people opportunities if they are not in your long-term plan. And just be very open and very clear about it, not to us, but to the players. Because we eventually will come to know. But if the players and the board are on the same page, as you said, as Akshay also said, it cannot be that you go for one tour and then suddenly you're like, oh, now we are not. Unless it is pre-decided that, you guys are getting one this tour, this is your farewell tour. Just assuming at this point of time, okay, this is your farewell tour, and then we'll take a call and we'll move on. Fair enough. Everybody will be very fine with it as long as the communication is clear. So, see, it's a very tricky thing to, as Akshay said, it's a very tricky thing to do that you give them 6 months and then you take the call, because it's unfair on them and it's unfair on the people who's going to come in as well, because then they have to immediately start performing. Because if they don't perform well, we all will be on their backs with every inch of our energy that, array, you are replacing him, see how he's doing. So it has to be handled very, very smartly. We've seen transitions in the past handled worse. I just hope this is handled in care, because there are too many big names involved. I just want it to be as transparent and smooth as possible. And let's cherish what we have. I'm more on the side of wanting to cherish whatever is left of our favorite heroes, because they'll not always be playing for India. So let's just enjoy what we can.
The other thing is scheduling here, at least in the short future that I look at it. We played 2 tests against West Indies, Akshay. Day 5, if it goes to day 5, the second test in Delhi, is October 14th. The first ODI against Australia is October 19th. So the short turnaround time also might actually be an alibi to play Rohit and Virat and be like, you know what, all these boys have just played 2 tests or whatever, and they're kind of saving them for the home series against South Africa, which starts right after these boys come back from Australia. So maybe the scheduling could work in Roko's favor, and then they get that little rope and then they kind of carry on. I don't know, but you know how Indian cricket works. Do you think there's surely a sentimental factor here, is what I'm alluding to, where people are just like, you know what, it's right for Virat and Rohit to play ODIs because obviously they haven't done anything wrong, but also scheduling point of view, it works for them perfectly.
Oh, for sure. And once again, irrespective of the call, even if the think tank or the selectors, the management decides to move past them, I'd be very surprised if they just abruptly move past them without, I don't know if a farewell game is in order, but irrespective, I think kuch to hoega. They will play a few more games. I don't think we've seen the last of either of them yet in this format. Firstly, that. Secondly, I agree with you. Given the scheduling, I think that acts for a very convenient excuse. Firstly, if they really are looking for one, I don't think they have to. If Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli are picked for the ODI series, I don't think anyone's going to come at the management saying how can they be picked and all of it. Firstly, that. And also, I'm pretty sure that for the West Indies test, at least, we'll be seeing a lot of either caps handed or a lot of players being tested. I don't think we'll be seeing a full strength 11 or a first 11. For most parts, that is. Apologies, there seems to be an order over here. But that's that for the West Indies series. I'm expecting the India-Australia series to have most of their first 11 options, which would also mean Rohit and Virat will feature. And I'll just answer the call in a bit.
Yeah, no problem. Again, coming back to the scheduling next, and for the rest of the viewers, I'm just kind of looking at this period for Indian cricket because obviously right now it's kind of the calm before the storm. Asia Cup starts September 14th, which Virat and Rohit obviously not playing because they've retired from the format. And then it shifts to that West Indies series where, again, they're not playing Test, which ends on the 14th of October. Then they go to that three-match ODI series or whatever in Australia. They come back, they have a decent break. Now, whether they play the Vijay Hazare in the late December, time will tell, because they have to kind of prepare themselves for the three-match ODI series against New Zealand at home, which I think starts on Jan 11th. Is three ODIs, Vadodara, Rajkot, Indore, those places. And then by the time you know it, the prep starts for the IPL. So they think they have their work cut out till the real infusion of ODIs happen post the IPL 2026. That's when I think the FTP suggests that there's a lot more ODI cricket in the build-up to the 2027 ODI World Cup. So even from a scheduling and an FTP point of view, I think they will somehow have the energy to go to that 2027 World Cup. And we know how time flies, especially in the cricket world. And especially if you're just playing one format, you can sustain yourself. So look, that's just what we wanted to kind of just address. But don't believe these kind of sources like Nick's mentioned. I mean, they're all well-established articles and journalists, but I know there is a time where Indian cricket just tries to make something out of nothing. And we wanted to just have this on, not by any sort of clickbaity angle, but just to address what we feel personally will happen. And then you can watch this episode back later if you want. Introspect saying, I think both are ODI legends. The system can't just throw them out before giving them 6 to 8 ODIs. I absolutely agree with that. And Virat fans will obviously say that's the only last international sort of bid he has to kind of catch up to Sachin's 100 But I think that's obviously a closed story, dare I say. Honestly, this sounds like bullying. Yeah, we took this one earlier. And although Rohit has a terrific record in ODIs in Australia and England, his South Africa ODI record is poor. Besides one ODI 100 in South Africa, he hasn't even crossed 25 plus. And the remaining 13 ODIs he's played. Good stats thrown in there from freaking awesome as usual. Let's move on because there's various things that we want to get our hands into in MNL. Even though it's off season, there's a little bit of juice indeed. Now, Ravichandran, Ashwin and Sanju Samson are our focus. I know they did a episode on their YouTube channel respectively, and it just made us think about IPL goodbyes and whether it actually happens. Now, first and foremost, Akshay, you have your head dipped into every IPL bucket always. Do you think there's any truth in this? Because there's other sources, again, believable, non-believable, is that Sanju said, you know what, he's had a nice sort of closure with Rajasthan and he wants to look forward to an exciting new chapter in the twilight of his career. A, do you think it's an automatic fix? And do you think it'll actually happen? Because it gives me a 80% feeling that it actually will, bro.
It's not about about it happening or not. Like we discussed last week, where is the purse? Even if Ashwin goes out, the purse they have remaining right now is just 10 lakhs. Ashwin costed them 9.75 crores. Let's assume hypothetically in this scenario, Ashwin goes out. That means they'll be left with 9.85 crores. Sanju Samson is costing Rajasthan 18 crores and he cannot be traded for any lesser amount. That's the minimum he'll have to be paid by CSK. So where is that money coming from? So who else is going to be let out? I don't know if CSK are at that stage. I'm pretty sure a lot of CSK fans would be happy to see the last of Jadeja in CSK colours right now. If someone tells Jadeja, Ashwin go out and Samson comes into the CSK setup, I'm pretty sure a lot of them would be, I don't know if chuffed would be a bit much, but would consider that deal for sure. But we don't know if that's going to happen. So how else are they going to, make that money? They don't have a lot of. I don't see Noor going out, Shivam Dubey going out. Even if you let go of someone like Devin Conway, he's costing them about 6 odd crores. So I don't know. How are they going to empty the purse? It means that they will have to let go of at least one or two big names, firstly. And sorry, I've done too many firstlies and secondlies. But secondly, what happens to their top order? They've already got Ayush Mate, they've got Rutraj Gaikwad. Now, if Sanju Samson comes in, does that mean Rutraj Gaikwad is then permanently slotted at number 3, which I personally think is not his best position. I know last year they did go ahead with that given the kind of combination they had. And also, does that mean Sanju Samson will no longer be the captain? Who captains for them? Because Rutraj, Sanju, both are potential captaincy candidates. They went ahead with Rutraj last season. Unfortunately, wasn't a part of the season entirely. So I think there are a lot of pieces that are yet to fit in. And I feel it is one of those cases where last year as well, it was almost, written in the stars कि Rishabh Pant will either go to Punjab or something. It will go to a side which has a big purse. Wasn't the case. We saw a lot of names that we thought would go here, would go there, but they ended up going elsewhere. I see something like that happening with Sanju Samson as well. In case if it is true that he's going out of RR, I won't be surprised if it's an entirely new team altogether that goes after him, and we'll all be like, wait, what? We didn't see that coming.
The thing is, you make a good point about the cash, and I think CSK will pull a few strings. I know how they operate. They're very clever, and they want someone like Sanju just to not obviously fill in the legacy of MS when he finally retires, but a character like that. I think Sanju also speaks good Tamil, very likable character. And I feel also that they might do something like that, where they let go of Jadeja and Ashwin and they try to buy Jadeja back and go hell for leather with him in the mini auction or something like that, just to kind of make some leeway in. I don't think from a captaincy point of view that they'd want to kind of secure him and kind of tick three boxes with Sanju in terms of captain, open, and keep. I think it'll probably be a different role for Sanju in many ways. But again, this is my particular estimation in terms of how I envisage it. But I definitely think this move will happen. I see Sanju in the yellow of CSK. I don't know how much Nix likes it. Let's ask him what he feels. And we spoke about it briefly last week, Nix, but has your mind changed a little bit, especially after Sanju's interview with Ashwin and him kind of hinting maybe that could be an option?
Firstly, I will not mind. I don't think any IPL team at this point of time will mind having somebody like a Sanju Samson, an experienced head, somebody who can keep and give a lot of guidance to a lot of youngsters coming around into this IPL. So, that sense, I think it is perfect fit. I also would say that I don't think there are too many people who can replace MS at Chennai. I think Sanju comes very close to that in terms of what he could offer to the franchise, in terms of, and again, this is on the field reasons. Off the field is different. Connect, fans, and all of that is different. You have a keeper, you have an experienced head, and someone who can relate to a lot of youngsters, and someone who's experienced the hard way of waiting for his chances and done it. And you have to understand the team in transition is Chennai at this point of time. So Sanju is the perfect guy to guide them. But as Akshay said, I don't see the math can math unless they let go of 4 or 5 big people. And those 4 or 5 would mean Conway, Ash, Jadeja. I don't see a point if Sam Curran and Nathan Ellis go out. Fleming has a visitor that he doesn't know coming. So that is a separate conversation there. Sam Firvi, I'll excuse if he's let go for 2.4. I don't know what he'll build. So as much as I would want Sanju at CSK, I don't see it happening because of the purse and how the equations matter. I genuinely feel KKR might be the place where Sanju will eventually end up because KKR have enough big people who they can let go of, and even a couple of them might do the job. Even one may do the job for them, to be very honest, that to release Venki and to get Sanju there, straight swap. But then that means another left-hander for RR, but that's a different conversation. So I don't mind. I would love Sanju to be at Chennai, to be very honest, because as Akshay said, I'm not too worried about batting order because Sanju is flexible enough. You give him a role, give him a 4, he'll do it. Maybe you push Brevis at 3. Plenty of possibilities, but captaincy is also something that I don't know if Sanju wants it or not. Agar wo bhi chahiye, so then I will feel KKR is the right spot there for Sanju to just take it and own it.
Exactly. That's what I actually wanted to bring up as well. The third team altogether that I brought up earlier, I think it has to be KKR because firstly, there are a couple of random names that they ended up buying for a lot. Like Andrik Nokia, they bought him for like 6.5 crores. I think they would be more than happy to let go of him. Any one of Narayan, Russell, Venki, Rinku, even for that matter. Like, there's no harm in them considering letting go of Rinku if they know for a fact that they can bring in Sanju in the process. If they're given that choice, I think they should happily take Sanju Samson, even if it means letting go of Rinku Singh into the auction. Because I don't know if RR wants to trade right now. It'll be very difficult because the kind of names that, the kind of slots that RR are looking to fill, I don't see any other side wanting to let go of such players. And importantly, RR would want that purse because if potentially Camden Green is available in the auction, that is the player that RR need, come what may. Irrespective of who they let go of, that is the kind of player they need. Someone who can bat and bowl and be equally proficient in both departments.
So just a random shout though, Rinku would be the perfect fit for RR. They've missed the lower Indian. Sorry?
Unka bowling, matlab they need someone to also strengthen the bowling. That's
fair. That is, they will anyways release Tikshana, Asarang and all of them and they'll get the bowling. But the point is, जो शुभम दुबे का role था, I think
Fair.
Rinku is a perfect fit there in terms of getting in a straight swap there, that you get a guy in, an Indian guy in, an experienced guy in, who will get a bigger role than what you got at KKR maybe, and that could just work out well for RR if they do think about the swap.
Just to close out on the Sanju Samson chat, so next IPL, will he be wearing the pink of Rajasthan, the yellow of CSK, or the purple of KKR? Because I just want to know from you guys, do you think he's a certain goner from RR? Which just begs the next question, which is a 10-year association with the franchise, I think, or maybe a little lesser than that, but still very, very significant part of their history. Do you think he's all but gone, Akshay? Like you said, either KKR or CSK?
First, I mean, the association's actually longer. 2013, he made his debut, so 12 years, running 13. So it is a long association, and more than just the duration, RR was the side that gave him the platform. And not just RR, Rahul Dravid was the guy who was chiefly responsible for him to be given a chance to first be a part of the squad, and second, being given a debut. And now it's once again Rahul Dravid as the coach over there. So I'm pretty sure that's what the RR management would have also hoped would work in their favor. You know, Sanju Dravid working together. They both understand each other pretty well and all of it. But is he a goner, man? It's hard because we don't know how much or which of these reports are true. We've heard so many reports coming out. Like apparently this is not just the report, a guy that I know who is supposed to be very much in tune with RR's at least, you know, information and all. He's told me that Jofra Archer is also a goner. Apparently, J. Clash Makram is also being looked past, which means that English connection will also see a bit of a dampener because Manoj Badali is the only one over there. And agar ye sab hota hai, if all of this actually ends up happening, and for Jofra, apparently the reason is also because ECB is reluctant in, you know, him playing a lot more IPL and all of it. So, which makes sense, which logically also makes sense. So, considering all of that, there's no reason why Sanju would want to stay back, because we all know what went down last season. There were so many reports coming out about him not gelling well with the rest of the side. And again, that's probably incorrect phrasing of words, of him not being given the kind of freedom that a captain would usually want. And then Riyan Parag being made the captain, and apparently during the retentions, he really wanted Josh Butler, but that wasn't listened to. So when you hear things like that, you don't know if it's true. Then there's no reason why Sanju would want to stay back now.
The point that you mentioned there in Riyan Parag, because I think they've looked at him as the next leader for RR, and I don't know if that had any influence of one of the owners in terms of being slightly more favouring of Riyan Parag. We know the Guwahati connect in terms of they play their cricket in Assam, 2 games a league. So factoring all those things, I just think even though Dravid and Sanju have had such a long, healthy, happy relationship, maybe it's just the end of the road for Sanju and RR. But I think he'll continue to dazzle IPL fans for the next 5-7 years in whichever stadium he plays in. And I'm hoping it's Chepauk more than Eden Gardens. I love KKR fans, but I just want to see Sanju just take that role. And it'll be brilliant for CSK in terms of just looking at the names that they already have. Like you mentioned, Matre, and then the captain Gaikwad come back, probably rejuvenated. Brevis in there at 4, and then Sanju there. It's a whole look compared to some of the fat being trimmed and taking Ashwin off and Jadeja off and Dubey off it, and kind of having bitter goodbyes for that. Speaking of goodbyes, then another one, Ashwin's given his comment about CSK and whether he will kind of stay with them or not. He's asked clarity from the franchise in terms of what role that they will offer. Nick's question to you, from a cynical point of view, do you want to keep Ashwin in your franchise? Not just from a sentimental perspective, but from a cricket perspective. Do you think he still adds value to Chennai in those pictures?
He definitely adds value, but he needs to add value in the mind of the skipper first. And that is something I've been... I don't know, I should just get usage written here because that will save a lot of us a lot of time. Because I feel spinners are your captain's bowlers. How good a spinner is depends massively on how good the captain thinks he is and when he uses them. We've seen in the last 3-4 years, under Gaikwad, under Fleming now in the recent past, Chennai haven't gone to spin as much as they used to in the past. If it's a change of plans, best way to let go of Ashwin then we don't think spin will play a part, or we don't trust spin as much, then it is better that you let go, because otherwise you are just playing him for the sake of it, and that's not good. So I hope that clarity is there. As I said, I would add him. I would have even, and they eventually did push him up the order for a few hits here and there. But if they are very sure कि नहीं use करेंगे, तो then let go of him. There are interesting prospects out there in the market. An off-spinning overseas all-rounder and Bracewell, I have no problem going down that route because you want somebody who can hit and also bowl off-spin. So if you want more, you already have Noor Ahmed and you have Jadeja. So you have enough spin overs in your bank unless you get somebody very new or you want to go to Gurukesh Moti or somebody completely random out of the blue. So then it's a different call. So as much as I would want Ashwin to retain, it is on Gaikwad to take a call. Okay, if he's going to use spin, then keep him. Nahi to fir bhai jaane do. Get others into the market.
The other thing is what Akshay mentioned, the fact that you kind of get a little bit of cash, let's say a little bit, 10 crores or for Ashwin if CSK do let him go. Do you think there'll be any immediate takers if, say, Ashwin's out of CSK's plans, he's thrown into the mini auction? Akshay, who are some of the teams who could look for an off spinner with the ilk of Ashwin?
Absolutely. I mean, which side wouldn't? Yeah, like I will once again say I don't mind RCB going after Ashwin and bringing him here because I think he still has a lot to offer even now. Be it tactically, from a leadership perspective, he can be a part of the leadership group and all of it. He's got loads.
But does he walk? But does he walk into your 11 or is he part of your playing 13?
That is something we have to sit down and talk. Now, first thoughts talking about.
Swap Krunal and Ashwin. Bye.
वाह और कुछ निखिल भाई, anything else बताइए. We'll be more than happy to offer. But Ashwin, there are a few sides. In fact, I was thinking Lucknow is a side that would be happy to take Ashwin and should be happy to take Ashwin because the spin attack with Digvej Singh Rathi now looks better, but Ravi Bishnoi hasn't been, in the greatest of form. So they could potentially even look to release him. Bringing in Ashwin and having someone like a Digvej Singh Rathi, I think that would be a great combination. It'll also work wonders for Digvej, to have someone like an Ashwin with him, rubbing shoulders, getting to learn more about his craft and all of it. So from that perspective, Sunrisers Hyderabad is another side that should be looking at Ashwin. Again, hardly any spin options. Firstly, and spin attack, that spin attack is fairly weak. They only had someone like Zishan Ansari last year, very raw, very inexperienced. So they would also be another side happy to take him.
Isn't Sundar sorry with SRH?
Sundar is with GT Baba.
Oh, he's moved to GT.
And RR should be eagerly looking at him. In fact, I did watch that Ash and Kuti Stories Ala episode. And where, Ashwin himself tells ki, I was very surprised seeing you guys go after me for so long. I didn't see you guys doing that. And Sanju says, no, we really wanted you, which is why they were the losing bidders. They went up to 9.5 for him. And now that Hasranga, Tikshana, that overseas spinner strategy hasn't worked for them, I won't be surprised should Ashwin be available. They will go after him. DC could also, DC, I know there's a bit of a stretch because they already have Kuldeep, Akshay and Vipraj. If they bring in Ashwin, I think they'll be the first team in the history of the tournament to have a left-arm wrist spinner, a right-arm wrist spinner, a left-arm off spinner, and a right-arm off spinner, and 4 quality options at that. That would be phenomenal. I would want them to go after Ashwin just to see that happen. Please make it happen, DC. Please make it happen, Kiran Kumar Gandhi. I'm rooting for you.
Man, let's see if Ashwin goes back to DC. He's played, of course, with RR, if there's a possibility there. But like I heard from the boys, some good other options that he can go to and destinations, which I think will give him maybe 1 or 2 more years in the IPL before he kind of properly says goodbyes. Now, obviously, if Sanju leaves RR and Ashwin leaves CSK, they're not going to return to those franchises, which makes you think about IPL goodbyes. And I just wanted to have this chat with the boys. Which IPL transfer/goodbyes hurt the most from a fan's perspective, franchise perspective? I'll throw a couple of names to get started. Hardik Pandya leaving MI to GT, and of course he came back, but that initial sort of news would have definitely killed a lot of fans and hurt them hard. You think about maybe back in the day, Saurav Ganguly leaving KKR. At the time as well, I think when Gambhir left KKR, there was sour taste in a few people's mouth. Gale leaving RCB to Punjab was also something that people didn't want at the time, even though Gale was dipping with form and his age was kind of getting the better of him. So, Akshay, you first. Any particular transfer that you can tell me from a fan's POV, which has probably hurt them hard over the years in IPL?
Oh man, it's hard. Like for RCB, there would be 3 names off the top of my head, and Gale unfortunately doesn't feature. Not a reflection of Gale. Gale was a mind-blowing guy, but by the time RCB went past him, he was past his prime himself. KL, Chahal, and Siraj. These three names, there's somewhere I wish we could have held on to them. With Siraj, I still understand, and now that we won the trophy and all of it, it looks a lot more sweeter. Same is the case with Yuzi. I still say that I saw where Hissan was coming from when he went after Hasranga. They wanted batting, that they wanted someone who was more multi-dimensional. Sure, it might not have been the best of options, but I could see the logic in what they were trying to do. Rahul is the one that made absolutely no sense because they retained Sarfraz Khan instead. And unfortunately, Sarfraz has not necessarily made a name for himself in the IPL, but we know where KL Rahul is. He himself was a Bangalore boy. He himself was an ardent RCB fan, wanted to be a part of the side. And yeah, that breaks my heart even now.
No, just on the KL point, Akshay, do you think if he just said, listen, I'll bat at 4, no problem, he would have stayed? Because I think he left because I think he just wanted a much more freer role at the top of the order. Obviously, RCB still had Virat, Gale, and De Villiers, the top 3. So do you think if KL just said, you know what, I'll suck it up at 4, then he could have probably been with RCB? But again, that's me
KL had
guessing.
any demands. RCB didn't go for him. KL had no demands. KL wanted to be retained. And they had the entire top order open. Virat was the only other retention. Virat in AB, Virat opens, AB bats at 3 or 4. So the other opening slot was anyways empty. So there was no reason for KL to not be retained and given the opening slot or bat him at 3, 4, 5, 6. Jahan bat karana kara bhai. But we let go of him.
How much did they retain Sarfraz for that year?
2.5. No, 2.8 or 3.5 crores, something like. It was a very small amount, but it was just beyond bizarre.
So that's kind of perplexing because back in the day, the RCB management had their own thoughts, and KL was on the rise in terms of becoming one of India's hottest players. Because I think 2016 was also the time where he got his first T20 international done, where we played West Indies in Miami. I think we went down in that game, but I think KL was still on the rise. So KL's a good shout from a IPL transfer / goodbye, which has hurt
That's
the most.
only from a fan perspective. But Nikhil Bhai said Dusra. I want to hear his name.
Yeah, we'll come back to your other two, which is Chahal, which is a good shout as well. People in the chat saying Nikhil, Rashid Faisal, Rach is a good one as well. You could give me so many more, so tell me. But Nick, which one comes to your mind?
I think the one that will end up being historic is Josh Butler, because I can't fathom Josh Butler getting out of that RR setup. Just still missing him. Again, yes, you can say Jaiswal, Suryavanshi, and everybody else, but by Butler, sorry. One very left field shout in David Warner moving out of Delhi. He went out from Delhi and then SRH completely, it just took it on himself. I'll ensure that we win a title myself. So that I think was a very interesting let go of. I had another name that at this point of time I'm just completely forgotten. But yeah, these two for now, David Warner and of course Josh Butler.
Yeah, interesting that you say those two names because David Warner, even with SRH fans, had such a big connection when he left. It was not such a pleasant time for their fans. One which stuck with me, I think, was probably just the fact that Gilchrist kind of left.
There's one name. I'm very surprised. I thought this would be his first. Yeah, your first pick would be this player. I'm very surprised this name hasn't come up yet.
Dravid from RCB to RR. Exactly. I feel like that was just at that time because I know like they had different ideas and there's a lot of change happening then, and Malia had his own philosophy in terms of how he should kind of rebuild the squad after the not failure the first 3 years. I wouldn't say it because it was not the worst time RCB had, but again they looked past those two icons and my favorite players. So that one stings a lot. Maybe Chahal, like Akshay alluded to, because many people didn't understand the value of what Chahal was bringing to RCB in that stadium. 3 for 35, 2 for 27, giving us gold. Even though he'd go for 40, he'd take 4 for us. So yeah, Dravid and Chahal for me. Gilchrist from a neutral point of view, I know he resonated really well with Hyderabad in those first 2 years, but then he made his own sort of folklore little history with Punjab. So what were those two names that you had? You had KL, Siraj, Chahal, Dravid, essentially, from an RCB perspective.
That was fans. This was all neutral perspective. According to me, the biggest was Deccan Chargers letting go of Rohit Sharma. Apparently, they'd also like this is in my view, and of course, there's a lot of hindsight attached to it. Now that we've seen Rohit Sharma become not just a legendary batter but a legendary captain as well in the tournament. But apparently, if memory serves me right, there were talks they did want to retain him, and he also wanted to be retained. In fact, again, that Telugu connect and all of that. So he was also he'd also nicely mingled with the rest of the group. Then out of nowhere, they just decided to go cold turkey and completely release all their players and start from a blank slate. So that was something I remember back then. Rahul Dravid moving out of RCB because there was no social media, like especially for a 12-year-old. We were just looking at newspaper reports and everything. Rahul Dravid not donning the RCB red or Rohit Sharma not donning the Deccan Chargers blue, because again, he was an up-and-coming star along with Virat Kohli. And now to no longer see him, that was a tad bit surprising for sure.
Indeed, lots of comments coming through, which we absolutely love and appreciate on this Monday evening. And good luck with all you guys with your plans this week. Shikhar Dhawan traded to DC for Vijay Shankar, Abhishek Sharma, and Shahbaz Nadeem saying Harsha Vardhan ready. Dhawan was the only marquee Indian batter in SRH, so that must have hurt SRH fans. Sports fans saying, from an MI perspective, the Pandya deal was the most shocking and hurting one. It caught buzz all around. And Vishwa going on to say, CSK not bidding for Ashwin in the 2018 year was a surprise. I was actually going to come to CSK. When I think about it, I think if I was a CSK fan, not the most painful goodbye, but Deepak Chahar going to Arch Travels MI would probably hurt me, even though he's not such a value add. He's given the franchise quite a good number of good heydays. Akshay laughs, but do you agree?
Not as, I mean, you would want to side with him, but I think he had enough off days which we would still keep him. Again, it's not about not wanting that player. But I honestly say I miss Faf more than I miss Deepak Chahar. Because to me, Faf was someone who, and I didn't forget Faf, but I was trying to set up Faf in a way that he was with the team and they won way back. Just as a part of the squad. George Bailey with our squad, man, all of that. And you feel, which is why I feel from CSK perspective, I think Faf is the only guy that I miss not watching in yellow. Every other guy I feel, ठीक है fair. Brendan McCullum, Dwayne Smith, ठीक है. Ashwin went. Okay.
Hazelwood?
But Hazelwood is also someone that I feel yes could have been, but I couldn't have seen like the three people I couldn't see in any other colors. MS in yellow, Raina in yellow, and Bravo in any other color. These three are the names that I would feel ये तीन अगर कहीं और जाते I would have felt very, very weird. Which is why watching Gujarat Lions operate with Ryan and Bravo felt very can't do much about it, but yeah, that is what it is. But yeah, I would miss Faf more than I would miss Deepak Chahar. But that's me.
Okay, fair. Santosh Shurupa saying KKR letting go of Sky. Look, that's in hindsight, I feel, because Sky has become the product that he is.
KKR ke naam se, the only name I feel they will eventually feel about is Gill. If you can't change the man, they have changed the man. So.
But KKR's guy was also interesting because KKR had made him their vice captain in the 2016 season. So clearly they had also been looking at him. In fact, he was they had him a part of the leadership group ahead of Manish Pandey as well, who himself was playing for India and all of it. So they were looking at Sky, but yeah, they probably sort of sold that stock at the worst possible time, because wahan se jo Sky bhaiya ne, like the kind of leap he's made, yeah, KKR would be ruining their missed opportunity.
Yeah, KKR at the time, I don't know when they let go of Uthappa, but I think he made it evident in that chat that I had with him where it was sad for him personally and a lot of fans because he'd given the franchise so much in that time that they won those 2 titles as well. So lots of things that you can tell us in the comments in case we missed out players. But look, whether Sanju said his final goodbye at RR or Ashwin said his final goodbye at CSK, we're speculating, but it made for good conversation. Let's move on. And before we move into the best of the rest, sticking with the IPL and sticking with some pivotal news if you live in this part of the world, Bangalore per se, with regards to what's happening in the latest developments. Now, we know that the Maharaja Premier League Akshay has been moved out of Bangalore, not just because of the rains, but because of the Chinnaswamy being unfit to host stuff. And there's a rumor that they could be giving that stadium a facelift, making it much more better in terms of urban development that we spoke about 2 weeks ago. But now the news is it's absolutely been sanctioned by the Karnataka government. The housing corporation will take over the construction as soon as maybe 2 weeks from now. Bomasandra, now people who don't know the city, this is absolute Africa territory for me and Akshay as well, because we stay mainly circle Rajajinagar. If we had to fathom to go do fan cams or watch RCB play live, it's going to be absolutely chaotic. Akshay, your first thoughts on RCB's new stadium in a couple of years to be in Bomasandra?
Not a big fan, man. I'm not a big fan of new venues. I've made it clear before as well. Why do we think like it's almost become a new a new fad? Ki, you know what's the solution to any issue that we have? Build something new. Why? I felt they could have renovated, they could have done a better job of the existing infrastructure. Firstly, because you are it's going to take a lot of effort, and we know Bangalore and its history with public infrastructure and the amount of time it's taken. The yellow line, the metro yellow line that opened yesterday, took 10 years in the making. After having initially the initial date of opening was in 2021, it moved to 2026 and all. There's been so many delays. I'm expecting something similar to happen, and if it's going to be an 80,000 seater, like, I know this is going to fall on deaf ears, but please, multiple entry points. Where are these 80,000? How are these 80,000 people going to enter? How are these 80,000 people going to reach Bomasandra in the first place? How are you going to ensure proper traffic dispersal? I don't know. These people are going to think about this. In which case, having it in the city center also made sense, because at least you had a lot of solutions to go out to your respective places. Now, if you are going to have a stadium that's in a remote corner of the city, coming back will now just be an absolute pain in the ass. And yeah, man, it's I really hope somewhere better sense prevails and someone comes in and says, no, don't do any of that. Make sure you redo the existing stadium and come up with a better way of using these facilities. But yeah.
Look, what we do know is what I can tell you, right? Now, Bomasandra, there is metro construction happening around that part of thing. It roughly is about 30 minutes from, say, central Bangalore to go to there, but it will be helter-skelter, especially on match day, because I can think of Uppal, Hyderabad, where I've gone multiple times to cover it in its outskirts of the city. You look at someone like Pune and that stadium over there, where it's absolutely, like Akshay said, way out from the city, which kind of takes the sheen away, because the Chinnaswamy also, 40,000 packed in. It's in the heart of the city. There's different sort of walks of life, not just like the bougie kind, but also like the proper hard day fans kind of going there. And the other details that these guys have enrolled in various sites, apparently it's going to be a mega sports complex with 8 indoor, 8 outdoor sports arenas. So it's doing the world of good for Karnataka sport per se. I don't know who the investors are. Probably it will be various stakeholders in the government, the RCB, different sort of takes over there. Surya City, Bomasandra, and like Akshay mentioned, 80,000 of them kind of being filled in here. Now, just to give you perspective further, the current Chinnaswamy with the 2 KSA B grounds and the old NCA was about 17 acres in the CBD. This is 100 acres in terms of that outskirts area. So whether it can really facilitate for more good in terms of concerts and other parades that RCB want to have in the future, great. But again, we will be saying bye to a very iconic stadium. I don't know what Akshay makes of it, but it'll be absolutely a dagger to every RCB fan's heart if they don't get the Chinnaswamy back into the proceedings after a facelift.
See, firstly, I don't know what the plan is with the existing stadium, but if they're going to build a new stadium, please then demolish. It's CBD, it's prime land. Let's do something out of it. Maybe extend the Cubbon Park. Anyway, it was the Cubbon Park that was encroached in the first place for all of these areas. Maybe make it more greener. I don't want to see a random, why do we need 2 stadiums, man? No, we don't need. So if you're going ahead with that stadium, please don't spend so much money. As much as I love watching cricket and as much as I work in this space, there is money. There are enough other problems that need money, that need resources. Please use it over there and come up with a better way. There's no point doing a facelift here and building a new stadium. But of course, knowing how politics works, we know that politics and logic don't exactly go hand in hand. So, yeah.
And also knowing this franchise, I know it's been crazy for people to get tickets at the Chinnaswamy sometimes, because 40K seems a lot of stands. A lot of seats, but it gets sold out like you wouldn't believe it. And Harsha contributing to this chat in the comments, saying on the hindsight, I'm happy because in Chinnaswamy, I never used to get tickets in the range of 5K, all sold out, and others selling in black. Now I'll get ticket if match happens in Bombasandra, purely because, again, 80,000, they'll probably reduce the price of a ticket, maybe from a 5K to 2.3, 2.5K.
And lesser
But
people would
again,
be willing to travel. Like maybe Chinnaswamy, because of how easy it was to commute, so a lot more people would be interested. Now, Bombasandra, that will become your initial point of friction. Oh man, no one's going to go that far. Chuck it, and say, let's just go to a pub and watch it or something. So I hope that also leads to it being more easier for fans to get access to the stadium, because that's been a long-standing complaint for RCB fans in particular.
Introspect being cheeky about it, saying, will it be a good thing for RCB knowing that they won't have to play in the Chinnaswamy, knowing how it's been a graveyard for bowlers, a six-hitting central, whatever you want to term it at. Santosh, who's a Bangalore boy, saying, if Chinnaswamy doesn't host any game, then RCB vs CSK was the last game it witnessed. That's also a point to be taking into. And he also going on to say, the only time I want DK Shukran to use his political power and get in near Karakpura, but he's hardly interested in this fiasco. Thank you for throwing me under the bus there. Love all these Karnataka politicians for sure.
Sure.
Don't want to be short on the road.
The only thing I think is good is if the ball is lost, there will not be a wicket on the next ball, because it will not happen to Saul, it will not happen to MS also.
That's for sure. But look, I'm
Sorry,
with
I'm
Akshay on this.
stupid like that.
No, that's okay. That's fine. That's all right. I'm with Akshay on this, though, with regards to how it really pans out. If you're going to do it with regards to giving RCB's Chinnaswamy a facelift, do it. But then again, what's the other project about? And give us some clarity on that. So that's just a little bit of news that we wanted to speak about. But whatever it is, RCB fans, if you're watching this later on in the week, tell us in the comments what's going to happen. And would you travel to Bombasandra to watch a game of RCB in the IPL? If you would, happily, hands down, tell me in the comments. All right, time to move on to brighter and better things, I'm guessing. Not that Bombasandra isn't bright, but I'm sure there's other things like Tim David and him doing things in Darwin, Australia, and not to forget Barber being exposed by Jaden Seals. All of that in the best of the rest. Right, let's start with Australia, South Africa, because there's lots of action, lots of sixes, wickets, and some good stars playing in that, like Travis Head and Mitch Marsh and Geedy, David. Akshay, did you see any of the highlights? It reminded me of a PlayStation game because Australia was still going rapid, even though they were 5 down. They were 60 for 5 or something like that in 5 overs. So what did you see of that game? And Tim David, bro, I mean, that's probably his highest ever score in a T20 international game, or has he got higher than 83 in his life?
Century,
He got 100.
Oh, sorry, 100, my bad.
Yeah, he got 100 recently. And yeah, Tim David, like, talk about having a purple patch, because he's right now in the middle of it. And the way he's been striking bowlers left, right, and center across cities, across countries, across continents, it's fabulous to see. The only clip I saw was of Tim David facing Rabada. It was his second or third delivery, and the folks on comms are like, yeah, this is an international all format superstar that we're talking about. Of course, Tim David has to give him some respect. He's 2 for 2 after bowling 2 overs. There's no way on earth Tim David can do anything about it. Next ball, Rabada bowls his classic back of the leg delivery. Tim David steps down the track and goes for it. It's a 6. And the commentators are having a laugh. If this is what it means to respect, I don't want to see Tim David disrespecting any bowlers. And it's been fantastic to see him strike this way, because I was in the minority after the auction last year as well, that I didn't think Tim David was too bad a buy. Sure, in the IPL, he might not have done just as well as was expected off of him, but he had been sidelined, criticized, trolled even, by a lot of people. To some extent, I could see where they were coming from, because, like I said, there was a lot of hype behind him when he was a part of the Mumbai Indians setup. But now the way he's come back, because make no mistake, in between, he was also down with injury. He wasn't available. And despite coming back from it, it's hardly affected his hitting ability, his batting form. And it's been so consistent, which is very rare for a number 6, number 7 batter. And now he's batting at number 5 for the Aussies. It's not easy to marry consistency with explosiveness, and for him to be able to achieve both those things at the same time, kudos to him.
Yeah, brilliant hitting, honestly. Like, some of the ball striking, like you said, made me chuckle when Kerry O'Keefe on air. But I'll tell you what was my best part of the match in just a bit. Lots of comments flying in from introspect, saying, not going to lie, Australia looking a strong force in the upcoming T20 World Cup. Next, which reminds me, apparently now they're only behind India in terms of a longest T20 international winning streak. They've got 9 after what they did in the West Indies as well. What are your takeaways from this first T20 international? And do you think Australia are now kind of just, how do you put it, fine-tuning their T20 team before the grand event next year?
Yeah, I think they have finally settled on an idea that this is what we want to do. It genuinely felt harakiri because, again, Tim David is always going to do Tim David things, but South Africa would feel that they lost the match also with the catching. You have to catch people like Tim David if they give you chances. So if you don't do that and you have an opposition 60, 70 or for 5, so I think South Africa have tried to do too much Jayamata. We saw that in the Tri Series as well, where they changed roles of people. So I think it is fine from that end, but Australia, this is their version of baseball, if you want to put it that way, that everybody's just going to come in and just smash, which is great because they have the people to do it. And that is a prime important thing to note, that they are picking the right people and then asking them to do what they are asking them to do. So very interested to see how they shape up their bowling now, because I think batting, you've always felt Marsh, Head, they are all good and they'll do the job. Green is someone who's had a good time. He had a good time in West Indies also. So I'm very keen to see if they give him any bowling workload or is just going to be a batting basher, because come the IPL, that is where money is going to be spent on. So very keen to look at that aspect. So yeah, I think Australia, it was good fun. I like Vena Mafaka. I love the way he bowled. I think he's had a very rough start to the international career. Maybe not international career, but maybe IPL career. But plenty to like of him, to be honest. There's a moment when he gets hit for a 6 from Tim David and he's like, well played. And you don't see people do that in Australia. Again, it's not just random body language reading. So all the best to Ken and hope to see more of it.
Yeah, interesting observations. Even I kind of felt the same with regards to how South Africa's team looked. I think it's just going to be this kind of team for the next 2, 3 years. Lots of youngsters, lots of power. Rickelton eventually kind of doing South Africa good to get them close, but no cigar. Brevis will come good. You think Pretorius as well, what we saw him in the longest format, but in the shortest format also he's making a name for himself. So I definitely think this T20 World Cup will give us lots more answers about the future and how sides will look. But I definitely think you mentioned the bowling of Australia there, Nick. I feel Pat Cummins, Mitchell Stark, even though they're not in the T20 scheme of things, they will probably feature in the squad, if not make it their last ever T20 international tournament and retire that way. I think Hazelwood and Ellis are definite starters for them no matter what going into that T20 World Cup. Whether Zampa kind of comes through for them, only time will tell, but the batting sorts itself out. So very, very positive from Australia. And the best part for me, I mean, there was a great catch from not Glenn Maxwell, because sure, he took a great Maxwell catch because we've seen that, as Drew points out in the chat. But there was one bloke, Akshay, with a couple of beers in the left hand. 2 beers, not one, 2 beers. He takes the ball, catches it absolutely out of the air, which is brilliant. So it reminded me of the yesteryears of Australia, a bloke behind the side screen who had a cigarette in his hand and then took a catch, which kind of matches it commentary. So, I mean, crazy stuff that we've seen there. More action from Australia, South Africa, we should talk about in the next podcast for sure, but we'll leave that there. West Indies, Pakistan's happening. Nix, I'm going to come to you on this. Anything that you've particularly liked in the first couple of ODIs, and then what we saw in the T20s as well?
I think T20s, we had good enough discussion there in terms of what happened. But ODIs, happy to see Evan Lewis back. I have always liked that guy. I feel very rare any left-hander who troubles India is invariably liked by me. But take Evan Lewis check mark in terms of return to team and good form. Roston Chase, doing Roston Chase things. Very, very happy for him. I've always been a Roston Chase FC guy. So that and of course Jaden Seals with the ball. It is always fun to watch good, proper fast bowler doing proper fast bowler things. And happy that they dropped Shepherd and got in Justin Greaves. Fingy bowling was getting a bit. You'll have to use Shepherd in T20 is a different guy. ODI maybe you can back Justin Greaves there. So interesting that both games have had its side chasing, winning by 5 wickets. Hassan Nawaz was a good pick for Pakistan. I'm keen to see how he builds on this.
Yeah, I mean, West Indies, literally, I think, giving us hope going into that particular ODI World Cup because they have points to play for in the ODI Super League for them to qualify, and they will be using these games just as an opportunity. Shamar Joseph, I've liked him in every format, and ODIs is no less. Jaden Seals bowled a really good ball to Barber to get him out. And again, from a tour perspective, I think it's more learnings for this West Indies team than Pakistan team. I think Pakistan team will try to iron out wrinkles whenever that they can. Let's skip the chat that I want to have with Akshay on the West Indies Pakistan front because I think there's not that much to discuss. We'll take a couple of comments though. If West Indies will win the final ODI, they'll be winning the ODI series against Pakistan after 37 years at home. Thank you for that lovely stat, freaking awesome. And it just makes you think about that little history that they've had, those two teams as well. Bobsy Kapkar Lega, last 100 he hit was 2 years ago against Nepal, saying sports fan in the chat. And more people saying different things. Harsha, you've made a couple of good comments, which we'll take in the 12th man section. And I know you've asked us to talk about the Bumrah issue also, which we'll talk about in the 12th man later on in the show. We spoke about the 100 in a bit. I mean, at the top of the show briefly, but we'll come to it in just a moment. Zimbabwe, New Zealand. New Zealand, Akshay, I don't know if you were seeing the scorecard because surely you wouldn't seen the highlights. At stumps on day 2, they were 601 for 3, leading by 476 or something like that. Could they have actually gone for it, the 952 of Sri Lankas? I mean, it's not part of the WTC. They don't have their A squad. It's anyway, like, spreading the game of Test cricket. Could they have actually gone for it? They declared overnight. Unbelievable.
Nah, I mean, because they wanted to spread Test cricket, they've done this. Had they gone unbatted and scored 1,000 runs, I guess everyone in Zimbabwe would have been like, yeah, okay, let's get done with this. We're not playing this format anymore. Yes, finally, bhai. Sorry, apologies for that. Game's on. Mahika God gets a wicket. But coming back to this, I don't know what to make of this. I honestly don't know because at the beginning I was genuinely excited. I still am to see Zimbabwe play a lot more Test cricket, to see them do so well financially, and they're both doing such a good job of building the sport in their country. But I think we'll have to be a bit more patient with them. So there's no point looking at these results right now and focusing things in the short term because that would be a bit too myopic. So just zoom out a bit, understand why they're doing this. It'll take a bit more time, experience for their players, and the more they play against such top flight nations, the better they'll get at it. Right now, New Zealand, sure, good on them for not, I guess, completely grounding or grinding the Zimbabwean players. But Zimbabwe, I hope that they are learning their lessons quickly and they do get better as soon as possible, because or else this is going to be a very hard task, a very hard goal that they've set for themselves that they probably would not be able to even reach if they lose heart very quickly.
It's really sliding badly for Zimbabwe. I mean, such an optimistic start with the calendar being promising. They're playing South Africa twice, New Zealand twice, England one-off test, but everything's kind of got pear-shaped for them, Nixon. In fact, they lost the first test by 9 wickets. They lost the second one by an innings and 359 runs, which actually goes into the realms of biggest innings wins in Test cricket. The first and the record right now as it stands, I'm looking at it, innings and 579 runs, England versus Australia, the Oval in 1938. Then innings and 360 runs, Australia versus South Africa, Joburg 2002. Cricket legends will remember that particular game. And then this one, New Zealand, Zimbabwe, Bulawayo 2025, innings and 359 runs, which is incredible. A game which was involving India, I should say, was innings and 336 runs, West Indies versus India, Kolkata 58-59. Obviously, none of us was alive back then, but I'm pretty sure it would have been a good story to tell. Jaden Seals, a special bowler. We've basically just missed the West Indies Pakistan chat, but don't worry about it. Zimbabwe need to improve their Test cricketing.
Put out a reel of all of that Fab Four names, Nikhil Bhai and I had mentioned, because Jaden Seals was one of them. Was a part of both of our lists, so include the Esa Vesa. But yeah.
Yeah, we should. Shauna, producer, that is your task cut out. New Zealand bowling too strong for the Zimbabwe team. I mean, Matt Henry ran through them. There's another promising New Zealand pacer called Zakari Folks. I mean, go check him out. Let's see if he comes through the ranks. But That is from the international cricket perspective. We just want to talk about two T20 leagues roughly before we move on to Akshay's quiz. He has a belter of Howzzaat this week and the 12th man segment. We'll do the international T20 league first, the 100. What we've liked so far, what we've seen. I tuned in last night, saw just a bunch of random cricket faces. That's what you get with these T20 leagues. Stoinis was bowling for the Trent Rockets. There was Akil Hussain there. Joe Root was there. Then you look at some of the other players in, who was it they were playing yesterday? The Northern Superchargers, Brook, Mohammad Amir, Adil Rashid. Quite crazy. Nix, I'll come to you first. What's been the standout of week one in the 100? Have you watched a lot? Why should people watch it? Why shouldn't people watch it?
And I would never tell people not to watch it, because why? What's the harm in watching cricket? You'll at least understand difference between quality at times and how easy at times it is to track people. To me, women's 100 has stood out far better than the men's competition. Update also, they've changed the cricket balls. Earlier used to be 100 ka signature imprinted balls. Now, nahi bhai, kuch nahi ho raha. To side pe jao. Now they'll go back to the balls that are used in the before. So that is a good change, but usse kuch hua nahi hai. And on average, I read this stat somewhere, so props to the guy who brought it up on Twitter. Average score in women's games is higher. That is telling you a lot. Okay, men's cricket mein when men's 100 pe utna nahi ho raha hai, every game feels very monotonous. That bowl first, there is help for the pacers, team collapses. Birmingham Phoenix तो ऐसे बैट करी जैसे कि 10-100. I mean, I wanted them to win. They've begun like Hobart Hurricanes. I hope they finish like Hobart Hurricanes did in the BBL. So, plenty of early wickets in the men's 100. But women's, there have been a couple of very good games. Bet Moon is among runs. But the all-rounders haven't quite come to the party. Amelia Kerr has taken wickets here and there. Doughton has done a bit. Jess Jonathan hasn't come to party. Hayley Matthews hasn't come to party. So, I feel the 100 is just warming up. Hopefully, by the time it gets to the middle season, it will properly cook.
Yeah, Akshay, I'll come to you on the 100 now, because the latest from the men's news world is that Mo Bobat is new director of cricket for London Spirit, who are in action tonight. Akshay, your thoughts on the 100, because I think you've been backing the Manchester Originals women, but for the men's, who are you backing?
Men's, I haven't been seeing. I've just been watching highlights. Oval Invincibles, yeah, like Nikhil Bhai said, like we said last week, safe shout, say Oval Invincibles and escape. But I'm backing Manchester Originals across both genders, but I haven't followed the men's version just as keenly. And like Nikhil Bhai said, the women's version has definitely, see, across genders, the quality of cricket is top notch. It's the format and everything that just makes it so complicated. Like, even if you want to sort of corroborate or draw analogies, okay, how would this work in T20 cricket? How would this guy do and all? Because it's so different and the dynamics are so different. It is a standalone format. There's no point trying to say it's the same, which is why I've now learned not to do that. And when you just look at it as it's not too bad, but I still hope that they quickly revert back to T20s. And when it comes to men's, Phil Salt, he was amongst runs. Tavanda Mui, I love the knock that he played yesterday for the Trent Rockets, I want to say, yeah. And it was not the Trent Rockets, for the Trent Rockets, yellow and red. Yeah. So it was very good to watch. And again, a Zimbabwean talent last year, we all remember, he was making the news when he registered himself for the 100. And this time around, now him getting some game time. He was also part of the BBL, if I'm not wrong, last year. But good to see him. I'm trying to think. I vaguely remember him being a part of another competition. I don't know which one was it. Apart from that, what else? Rashid Khan, fantastic spell for the Oval Invincibles last night. That was also very good to watch. 3 for 19, if I'm not wrong. All in all, going good. I'm hoping Manchester Originals start, coming up with a few more good results. Phil Salt, Josh Butler, Andre Klaassen. That's too good a top order to not do well. So fingers crossed, they will come good in due course.
And also, there is slower. Sorry, there is a slowest possible ball being bowled by Sam Curran. So please go out there and watch out for it.
What T20 Blast maybe dekha tha, it's so slow. It really tires the batter down. It wears you down.
That's wild. I just want to ask you guys a quick one. Smith and Bairstow or Williamson and Warner? Which opening player do you guys like more?
Smith and
Bairstow. I don't think it's even a question.
Competition.
Kane Rama and Warner Garu.
Kane and Warner Garu in orange jersey, yes. Blue jersey, nah.
Okay. I just want to say, look, with the 100, I've been watching both men's and women's. Not too much, but whenever I turn it on for some random 11 p.m. cricket action here in the subcontinent. And one thing which has caught my eye, at least for the women's, is of course Lauren Bell, top wicket taker, Akshay. So look at me with my predictions of the Southern Brave. Fortune favors the brave, and she rang the bell indeed. Right. Let's move on because lots more comments coming through. Harshavardhan saying class and performance has been below in international leagues. What is the reason? I mean, look, again, he said goodbye to South Africa, so he's put all his eggs in this basket. He wants to make as much as money, let's be honest, playing all these leagues. So it'll come back. The form will come back. Tough to follow these leagues. They don't interest me apart from IPL, obviously. Bring on more ODI cricket. Look, if you had Indian stars sprinkled in them, we would be watching every league. I mean, just think about it. Like Varun Chakravarti playing for Manchester Originals. Who knows? Right? We would have had much more eyeballs from the subcontinent for sure. Warner and Williamson in the same team made me emotional. There we go. Clearly an SRH fan in the chat. Right, we'll talk about the 100 as we go along in M&Ls. There's still so much time left in those leagues, and both these boys are, of course, having their eyes on their certain teams. Right, KPL, does Akshay have a team there? I mean, is it the Mysore team that he interviewed last year? And let's just try to, of course, give some spotlight to this tournament. It's happening in Mysore. We know certain squads. Devdutt Padikkal told me off. He said, I can't give you an interview right now, Avnish. You got to understand that. If you want to do an interview with me, it has to be through Hubli Tigers, and you can only ask me KPL-related questions. Nothing about my Indian career, nothing about RCB. I was like, then why do I want to talk to you, mate? And then I was like, no, it's fine. I'll come back later.
Singapore diaries. You were telling that he went to Singapore, right, recently. So
that's also off the cuff. Apparently, I could only ask you about the KPL, the history of the tournament, what makes Hubli Tigers such a good team. I was no one cares, mate. No one cares. But essentially, we'll try to kind of give you some KPL exclusives. I think the written team's already working on that. But Akshay, really quickly from you, would you even watch it? Even tune into Fan Code, watch any of these games?
Yeah, first point, like Santosh said, I was anyway going to bring that up. It's Maharaja Trophy. KPL is now defunct. It was KPL till 2019. There was a reason why it went defunct, so calling it KPL brings back those memories. Secondly, though, I have a side. It's always been Mysore Warriors. I was in Mysore for 4 years, especially during that part. That's when KPL really took off, so to say, and a lot of those games were happening in Mysore. I myself went for a few games, even attended their trials for what it's worth. So in my head, I think I'm an ex-Mysore Warriors player. But they've always been the side to beat because they've packed all the international stars or all the IPL stars up for grabs. They are like the TKR of this tournament. They've got Gautam, Suchit, Bhandge, Karun Nair, Prasidh Krishna. I'm like, leave some for the rest, bro. Why are you having everything? And Manish Pandey. They bought Manish Pandey. Exactly.
While we speak, he's on 39 of 18. Just letting you know.
Yeah, and Bhandge, Suchit, they aren't available this season. Nair won't be available for the initial part. Prasidh Krishna, it's still up in the air. But there's this guy, Deepak Devadika is a name I've already spoken about in the last 2 years as well, spinner. Gautam Mishra, last year he played just the one game. Unfortunately, got injured. I was really looking forward to seeing more of him last year. This year, please, all of you, watch Gautam Mishra. Mysore Warriors left-arm pacer, was with RCB in 2024 as a net bowler too. Tall, lanky fellow, very strong, great action, looks very good. His action is, the shades of Quena Maphaka and Gautam Mishra as well. The action is very strong, very powerful, clocks in excess of 140. He's definitely a guy I'm looking forward to. And McNeil Larona already come up with a good knock. He's been doing the rounds of IPL trials and everything. So a lot of people are already talking him up. So hopefully we might see him doing well too this season.
Yeah, Santosh saying Deepak Devadiga might be coming as an impact sub. Also, with regards to just the KPL or the Maharaja Premier League trophy, like Santosh rightly pointed out, or be it the Andhra Premier League, which is happening as well right now. I think Simadri Vizag Lions are playing the Kakinada Kings, which is bizarre. And I'm trying to figure out the scorecard and whether I know a few players there or not. But regardless, Shrikar Bharat's playing for the Kakinada Kings. First of all, duck. God bless him. But again, Akshay, next, how good is it that these leagues are for IPL scouts? I mean, right now for fans, obviously it's not got traction. But again, it's showing that there is grassroots cricket through these leagues. And if you're a bloke playing in the KPL today, or a guy playing in the Andhra Premier League or the DPL, you have a great pathway to catalyst, like literally be a catalyst to your career, right? So, Nix, I'll come to you on this. Do you think these leagues right now they're good, but they're actually doing the game a greater good for the Indian conveyor belt?
100%. And see, what we have to realize is you don't even know if you'll get the next test superstar from these leagues. We never know. Everybody's just trying their trade it at this point of time, just wanting to get noticed. Then the next step is if someone finds them and they find them rightly, and then they would go. I mean, it's only yesterday that I got to know that it was Srisan who took Samson to the RR trial.
Yeah.
Can you imagine hearing that? If I go and tell that to somebody, he'll not believe that. But that is what these games are supposed to do. These leagues are going to be where if somebody is watching on their TV and they feel, oh, I am in a position where I can get a few people to at least a few trials. Akshay has already taken a few names that have already been to trials for a few teams. So these are leagues that are giving you talent, and which is where the system needs to just ensure that almost all of them have to be clean, have to be neat to ensure that you're not losing people to other malpractices, because we've heard of false practices in such leagues around the globe. It's not related to one or two countries. So I just hope the system takes care of everybody involved, and then we see if we can get more talent for other formats also. Not necessarily pick and choose, but there's always talent that's there that you can pick. Vaibhav Sooryavanshi, we don't know. He could play Test cricket after 5 years. We don't know. So, but he can play these leagues and see if he can come good.
Lovely.
Shabash, he's spoken on mute. Nice, very well spoken.
Damn it. I said it's an interesting conversation that you just brought up there, because there's so many names in the cricket umbrella which kind of go unseen. But now, thanks to more of these leagues mushrooming, you actually think about it and be like, wow, this is doing India a world of good. But KPL or the Maharaja Premier League, go check it out if you guys want to watch it in fan code. Some good names, some IPL players playing there. Abhinav Manohar is playing for the Hubli Tigers as well. So that's a name. I think we've done our interview with KL Shrijit. If you guys are into Karnataka cricket, that's available on cricket.com. By the way, if you guys are watching this on a Monday, please smash a like. Give us some love in the comments. We've done some great things. Akshay just interviewed VR Vanita on the women's cricket platform. I got Jared Kimber recently on this platform. Fascinating chat about his book and everything. So we're giving you as much as we can, and we want to hear from you all in the comments. Now, there is prizes to be won in the next 2-3 minutes. If you guys are smart enough, put on your cricket thinking hats on, because it's time for Howzzaat, and that's a belter this week. Let's go. Right, over to you, Akshay. Any winners from last week?
Yes, sir. We do have winners, thankfully, and from the week before too. But coming back to Hazare, yeah, there we go. This was last week's question. The series had ended, of course. India sort of England last week. We were reviewing it and doing our thing, so which is why we wanted to know what connected the below series, which also included India sort of England. So there were 4 tours of 4 series mentioned. First was South Africa, sort of West Indies. Second was England, sort of South Africa. Third was England, sort of Australia. And fourth was India, sort of England. These were 4 instances of something. And of course, post-2000 was also mentioned. So we wanted you guys to identify what were we talking about. The correct answer is these are the only 4 series in this millennium that have lasted all 25 days, that have seen 25 days of cricket being played. So that's a very, very, very rare feat. And this is the first time that it's happened with India this millennium. So it was pretty interesting, something that not a lot of us saw coming, especially given the young side, given how both sides were inexperienced. So a lot of them felt that probably they aren't cut out for red ball cricket, and they've proven us wrong in how. The yellow one, of course, the second one, England, sort of South Africa 2004-5, has been highlighted for a reason. The reason is that first day of the Centurion test, which was the 4th test, was completely washed out. So no play happened that day, which is why the game went on till day 5. So that's why that's been highlighted. So technically, it's only 24 days of cricket being played. And that was the difference between that compared to the other 3 tours. Of course, quite a few of you attempted to guess, and only one of you got it right. And that one winner is Shankar Krishnan. So congratulations on getting it right, Shankar. Do get in touch with us on X. And we will definitely love to have you on board next episode. We'd love to talk to you and do us the honor, of course, of talking to us as well. coming to this week's Howzzaat.
One second. Before you go to this week's, that last week's question was actually very, very good because for me, the one which threw me off was the England tour of Australia 2017-18. I actually didn't think that would actually go for 25 days. But again, props for pulling that out. Go on.
Thank you. And this week, it's an interesting take. I don't know if the audience will resonate with it. I've gone for a lot of players. You see Shah Rukh and Aishwarya there. I'm not going to give you any hints because I think there's enough of a hint already there. It's exactly. So those who know their Bollywood and cricket, I think they've already probably figured the answer out. For those who haven't, there's a reason why I haven't given all these names so that there is a bit of effort. If I give the names, I think it would have been a bit of a giveaway in and of itself. But I want you guys to identify, just connect the following. And yeah, the image on the right side is a hint. So do not try and connect Shah Rukh and Aishwarya to cricketers. No, there isn't a connect there. Shah Rukh and Aishwarya are the hint. And yeah, connect the list of players whose montage we've come up with on the left side. Let's see who gets it right. Maybe another, I think I can give another hint. Nikhil bhai, you think any more hints need to be given?
No, kuch jarat nahi bhai.
No more hints
As
given.
clear as day.
Yeah, and folks, once again, like always, please wait for the live stream to end. Do not enter your answers in the live chat. Avnish right now is racking his brains because he's really, yeah, I think he'll probably pull a bit of his hair at the end of this episode to try and find the answer.
First, I got confused because when I looked at it, it was obviously, like you said, Shah Rukh and Aishwarya, because first it reminded me of that DDLG picture, but obviously Aishwarya wasn't there in it. Then I did the math in my head in terms of identifying the movie. And now I'm trying to do the cricket math in terms of whether it's that plus that. But look, again, I don't want to give more clues, but it's a good one, I think. So what's the ultimate question from this picture? What do people
Just
need to tell
connect
you?
the following. Connect the list of players on your left side. The image on the right side is the hint. All I want is connect what connects the list of 10 players that we mentioned. And to be clear, this is an exhaustive list. So there are no more names who are a part of this list. And I'll add another filter. We're talking about test playing nations. Just to also put this. So this is only from test playing nations. All of these cricketers are only from test playing nations. I want you guys to identify what connects these 10 players. And yeah, let us see who gets it right. Like always, please wait for the live stream to end. Do not enter your answers in the live chat here. Enter it in the main comment section in order to remain eligible to talk to us in the next episode.
Yeah, it's a fascinating one, especially when you look at that New Zealand jersey as well. It's a throwback New Zealand jersey from a T20 World Cup perspective. But again, no more clues. Let me know. It's a tasty one, and you guys will have fun guessing that in the comments. Right, time to move to you guys in terms of some stunning questions and comments coming through in this MNN, and we'll address all of it right now in this 12th man segment. Right, we had some good questions and things thrown to us. I think Harsha Vardhan Reddy asked us a few about, I think there was one about Bumrah. Talk about Bumrah's troll issue. Personally, those who are trolling Bumrah have zero cricketing knowledge. I think he or she, because Harsha seems to be a unisexual name, I think, in the Telugu world, probably brings this up on the back of, okay, the workload management, India coming out of the England series with a positive result, Nikhil 2-2, but obviously Bumrah not contributing into a win, as bizarre as that sounds. Do you agree with people kind of going on saying, oh yeah, like Dilip Vengsarkar's come out saying, Bumrah, you compare him to yesteryears, he should probably put his body more on the line. Do they not know that he's playing a lot of cricket?
He can put his body on the line. You show me if you have a guy who can average 19 in Test cricket, and then we'll speak anything about it. I find it absolutely disrespectful, and sometimes I feel it is good only that we don't get players like Bumrah, because we fail to acknowledge that there can be exceptions in our world. We want everybody to be just that 9 to 5, 70 hours work week is for us only, because we are meant to work like that only. We are accustomed to see this what work for us, this is what will work for you. Do not try anything else. If you are exceptional, it is not our problem, it is your problem. And who burnt him out, by the way? Who was he playing for in the BJT? Oh, I think he was playing for Mumbai Indians, which is why he eventually ended up bowling a couple of more seasons into the bowling than he should have. I mean, without going the sarcastic route, you have to do with what you have. And if you have a special talent, this is not telling that he's bigger than the game. No, he's not. But you have to be smart and acknowledge The most that you can get of him is the best it is for you and for him, both involved. It's not that he'll play for India and he'll benefit more than India will. So I don't, it is frustrating that it even has to be said, because if you are not going to spare Bumrah, I have no hopes for anybody else.
I mean, I'm trying to read that quote from Dilip Vinsarkar on Bumrah, and Akshay, he's gone on to say, if I was India chief selector, I would have convinced Mukesh Ambani, the MI owner, and Bumrah that it was important for Bumrah to miss the IPL for
Please,
the England series or play a lesser number of matches.
please go ahead, do it.
My question is, what's stopping him even now? Do you only have to be the Indian selector to do that? If you really were so concerned about the nation and about the country and its cricket team, please go and do it right now, na? Please, okay, you don't even have to go personally to Ambani. Just put out a quote right now. Just say, sincere request to Mr. Mukesh Ambani, please do not play Jasprit Bumrah in any IPL games going forward. Please at least put that statement out there so that we know that you are willing to, put your mouth or show or walk the talk. But I can't, man. Like, the thing is, seeing some random troll who's not played cricket talk about this, I couldn't care. Okay, sure. Yeah, they don't know how it works. They don't know how hard cricket is on your body. They don't know how hard test cricket is on your body. But to see ex-cricketers who've been through the grind, who've been through all of this, who know how hard it is, and especially in this day and age where workload management is a concept that's alien to Indians. They just keep playing left, right, and center. Even last week, someone asked us, right, like, why aren't they playing any cricket right now? They're just chilling at home. Like, why? Saas lene do, bhai. You need a bit of a breather. There is always a downtime. You need to give your body some time to recover from all the stress that you're putting it through.
And we say
But
people need to work on their games. But if they not play, then they will work on their games. Now, if they're always playing, तो काम कब करेगा तू तेरे body पे? When will you get better, fitter?
But what would you say about, I don't know, say people like Akash and Anirudh, who I don't want to mention their last names because then they'll get trolled. They're Australian fans, and they keep throwing the word Mitch Stark at me. Mitch Stark can do this. He can play the IPL, but it's the last 5 games of the
Who
Ashes.
can play the IPL? He didn't play 10 years of IPL. He didn't play any BBL. And that's a sacrifice. And good on him.
Sabse first point is, you don't have to compare anybody and make it a norm. Bumrah's body is not like Mitchell Stark. So it is not going to be the same. And see, firstly, we have to acknowledge that we live in a country where everybody is not going to be able to live how Stark, Cummins, and others can do. The amount of care Australian Cricket Board can take of their players, yes, maybe Indian cricket can take of it right now, but that is not always the case. I mean, Smith played the BBL. When he can, they all good. Warner has played the BBL in the past, but it's a different cricket culture. So I think even the comparison is wrong. And here, see, it's not that Bumrah is getting injured doing stupid things on the outfield or on the outside. He's getting overworked because India is using him like a genie who's supposed to just create magic every time he comes on to bowl. Even after all of that, he's able to get you the returns that he has. If we cannot cut him some slack for what his body is, then where is the empathy and where is the point about players are humans also eventually, right? So even the comparison I feel is very far-fetched. You compare it to Shane Bond. Similar bodies. How much career did Shane Bond have? Yeah, but you have to learn from it, right? You can't just burn out your people just in the hope they are special, so let's just burn them out.
Yeah, I mean, with the Bumrah thing, look, even I've been a victim of it in the past where I've actually said, look, I've argued with Akshay on this platform and watch along saying, no, Bumrah should play. He has to play. He's our go-to with, of course, this transition team that India kind of experiencing right now. And I think even I've undermined the rigors of fast bowling. Just the fact that the sheer workload, which goes into your knee or into your body with Bumrah's even more with his particular action. And obviously, he's a go to bowler for every team that he plays. So, all of those factors, I do give the benefit of the doubt to Bumrah. We've spent a little time on that, but let's move on. We'll take a couple of more and we'll wrap proceedings on MNL right now. If you guys have any quick ones for us, do shout them in through, but I'm just going through the top of the show. Abhishek Rawat, good to see you. You had this one for us earlier, which is cricket.com centric, I'm guessing. Hey guys, just curious, why don't you guys do watch along for tests or even a review for every day coming from a hardcore test fan? I mean, I'm guessing Akshay is hinting towards the Indian home season. Would you want to do a test for India West Indies? That's a
Oh my
cracker.
God. It's a cracker. And firstly, I mean, personally, I too have a very good excuse. The Women's ODI World Cup will be going on, so I'm not going to be watching the test matches. As much as I love test cricket, I'll be busy with the World Cup. So, Avnish, would you like to do a watch along for an India West Indies test match that's happening at home?
The Dust Bowls in Vadodara in the morning, Craig Brathwaite, we're sipping our team, be like, oh, what a start this is to the Indian home season. But no, I don't think we'll probably go that, but we'll definitely do some content around it for sure. Not sure how they're comparing tests with IPL. Bowling 4 overs, not a problem at all. Is he bowling 4 overs a day in tests? Absurd argument saying freaking awesome about the Bumrah chat. Syed saying, who do you guys think is the best fielding side of all time, all formats? For me personally, I think the Australia that I saw growing up was just brilliant. It just evolved even better according from 2000 to 2005, because you look at that offside field with Ricky Ponting, Andrew Simons, Mike Hussey, just chasers and lovers of a cricket ball. So for me, it's them, but I think Knicks and Akshay
Yeah,
could
pretty much
go
same.
down the New Zealand path,
Yeah,
the South
pretty much same.
Africa. I mean, with Gibbs and De Villiers and Ashwin Prince and all those kind of guys.
But they come close, but not to the level that maybe
Australia
this is nostalgia based in terms of how much we rated. We've always wanted to be on that pedestal. So yeah, I would say as an opponent, definitely Australia. The
Akshay, you?
sorry, the 23
Australia.
final
Yeah.
eventually first half was on the fielding first. Everything else later.
Which final? Which final?
WTC final.
2023 final.
Oh, yeah.
Even the
Fair.
World Cup final, why?
Oh, World Cup. Sorry, I thought Test ki baat kar rahe. Acha, my bad.
World Cup final,
My
वही
bad.
था.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
Akshay, for you?
I agree. It's Australia for sure. I mean, I don't think I have to think. Just all formats, ground fielding and all kinds of fielding, not just about catches and blinders and all of it. They've been through and through, ahead of any other side. Sure, South Africa might be a great side to talk about, but Australia definitely has to be there. And I would talk about Australia of yore as well, the 2000s and everything. They were also equally good. Sorry, more than this, I want to talk about Freaking Awesome's this comment. I'll just take this. I wanted to address. To be clear, an IPL game is not just about 4 overs. Sure, Bumrah is bowling 4 overs, but the game is still 4 hours long. He still has to be there. He still has to be on for 4 hours. If it's not like Test cricket where you bowl your over and you can relax at the boundary. Bumrah cannot relax. 20 overs, he has to be on, completely on. It's a fast-paced format. So sure, I'm not going to be foolish enough to say IPL is just as difficult or more difficult than IPL. But I also think we shouldn't overly simplify it by saying, "Arey, he's just bowling 4 overs there. It's a very simple format." It's not the case either. So IPL is hard. Test cricket is harder. I agree with that. And we just have to accept it. You don't have to, once again, you don't have to down T20 cricket to say Test cricket is harder. We agree Test cricket is harder. That does not mean IPL is easy. I just wanted to put that out there.
And just to add to that, because like we were kind of gloating in the previous podcast that when we bowl in the odd Sunday, we realize what kind of muscles get impacted bowling faster. And even when you look at your wearables or your Apple Watches or your phones and how many steps you've done, if you're probably playing a T20 game, apparently the analytics have kind of given it a rough range of 15 kilometers that a bowler does. So imagine you're playing a test series, you're doing 40 or 35 kilometers a day, and then India played, 25 days in a series? Which is
there
insane.
was a report that came out. This was in 2017, 2018. On an average of fast bowler clocks 40 to 50 kilometers every test match. The median is at around 43 and the mean is at around 47, 48. But 40 to 50 is the average number of kilometers. They run, not walk. They run. And they have to run at full tilt. So, yeah, it's not easy.
And now with that whole sports man bra that they wear with the tracking device, it gives you proper things where you're dropping off and all of that. Been a fantastic podcast as always. We have last one, we'll wrap up and then we'll say goodbye. Akshay will, of course, take a question from Akshay now to end proceedings. In all this Samson saga, why is no one talking about Dravid? I feel he played a major role in all of this. True or false, Akshay?
Don't know, man. I don't know to what extent would Dravid have played a role, and in what sense. When you say played a role, I don't think Dravid wanted Samson out of the equation. Sure, Dravid might have taken a few decisions that might have not, been aligned with Samson. But sure, fair point though. Like, Dravid is, I won't say responsible or anything because nothing's happened that way. RR had a bad season, but yeah, I mean, what do you want to talk about Dravid? Like, when you say why
Yeah.
no one's talking about Dravid, what exactly do you want to talk about him?
So
See, with
maybe see.
Dravid in
Yeah, please,
go
sorry,
on.
go on. No,
No,
my
finish
only point
next.
is maybe it's the role that maybe we expect Dravid to play. That if Sanju wants to leave and we are like, Dravid should be the guy to convince him,
Oh,
or the again, we are just speculating at this point in time. But I just put it out there. It is not as black and white as we see from the outside in terms of how a franchise works. Sometimes this, and we have enough instances in the last 3 years itself where it's not always been the coach's call about who stays, who doesn't. There are multiple factors at play in terms of how the person in question or in light here feels about certain things being done in the franchise. And it could be some trivial matter that we are not too very sure of, whether it is picking the players or is the captain or however things are going. Because just a stupid thing to take out from in that interview with Ashwin, Samson and Ashwin both joke about how football used to be the thing that they used to play.
yeah.
We don't even know what's the inside joke running there. It could mean something, it could mean nothing. So there are things we would never know, and we just hope that it's all well.
Yeah, there's so much behind the scenes stuff which kind of goes under the radar. Dhruv saying, bro, I understand cricket culture is different, but the real question is the culture correct? Again, your guess is as good as ours, man. It's perspective ultimately, what you want to believe, what you don't want to believe. Pavan Suresh randomly saying, do watch along for the Women's World Cup 2025. I think Akshay has plans for that. So do, of course, watch our space. He
Oh, Deandra
smiles.
Dorkin gets a wicket. That's all I can say. And do a watch along. Oh, we'd love to, but again, Pavan, it's a long format, but we'll definitely try and see what can be done. 100%.
Okay, last one, and this one was something that we might have missed, but again, Sports Fan brings it up. Thoughts and reports of Shubman come back in the T20 scheme of things, and that too in a leadership role. Is it fair on guys like Abhishek who are doing decently since the past year? Nix, you start with this, and then me and Akshay will finish off. What's your take on it? Not just Gill coming back, but now they're talking about Shreyas Iyer. So then two guys have to go out. Who goes out?
Who knows? Gill was the vice captain, if I'm not wrong, in the past. So he's just gone back to that spot. But the thing that you're looking forward to is transparency and clear path that, okay, it was Hardik once. It's gone to Aksar. What is it with Aksar then? Why is he not the part of the team? Or how are you looking at vice captaincy in the first place? So that is something that I would want to figure out from the management and the team. And then if Shubman is indeed coming back, okay, if Gill, Jaiswal, Abhishek, Sanju, all are the part of the squad, so then how is this going to function? Who is going to open? Who's going to not open? And who is your backup? So at this point in time, we are just assuming because there are questions on Tilak, on others as well. If Shreyas Iyer comes back into the team, who does he come back from? Does Rinko get dropped? We have absolutely no clue because Nitish Kumar Reddy has also played, Hardik Pandya has also played, Tilak has also played. So let's wait for officially things to come back. Shubman coming back is not wrong, but I just hope they're very clear. And it cannot be that you score 3 tons and then you're out of the setup. I just hope it cannot work like that. I just hope there is enough games given for you to work and not work both, and then you're out of the system. So that is all that I can hope for.
I mean, Akshay, if he does come back, then it's pretty much separate format, separate player base. But then I think about just only Bumrah and arguably maybe Gill if he comes back in a T20 who's playing all three formats for India, right?
See, if they're picking him because they think he's a good enough leader and he's a good enough batter to be a part of the side, then that's a different thing. If they're bringing him only because he's done well in tests, then I don't know, man. It's a very tricky call because, like Nikhil Bhai said, once again, I don't want to repeat myself. It's as long as the line of thinking is right. It's that process. It's the reasoning behind it that we're looking at, not the decision itself. There's no point looking at outcomes because cricket, like Gurkirat used to say, is a very fickle sport, not just T20 cricket. Cricket in general is. You cannot control the outcomes irrespective of what you do. What you can control is how you are looking at it, what are your processes. So if the direction is that Shubman Gill is the kind of batter they want in the lineup, then sure. But if I'm being perfectly honest, I don't think we need a Shubman Gill right now. The batting order seemed to be settling in fairly nicely. But let us see. Again, these are just rumors. These are still speculations. We don't know if there's any truth to it. So we'll have to hold our horses before we jump to conclusions there.
Okay, super. Look, guys, thank you so much. It's been a fantastic MNL as always. 1 hour 45 minutes, a little slightly longer, but we're giving you some meat to chew on in this off season. More to come, of course, later this week on cricket.com, including another TWCP, and there's a beta waiting in the wings. So if you guys haven't heard of us, first of all, like this particular video and share it to all your friends and tell a person about cricket.com. Appreciate all you guys in the comments. If I missed one, apologize, but like I said, follow us if you guys want to on those handles, and we will leave it there. Good night and goodbye, and have a fantastic week. And Akshay, good luck in Norwich. Nikhil, good luck in Mumbai. And I'll see you guys next week. Cheers.